So let's start. So I think we were on imagination, and you were being made fun of by these kids, and they step on your toe or something.
Yeah, so I went to a Catholic school, and they were really not about the Eucharist. There's these two very particular that were failing me. In fact, my mother told me she had a younger boy she actually had an encounter with a couple of years ago, and he still was calling me by, so I'm like, really? He's an adult, and he's still being, basically a child because he still hasn't grown up apparently, and okay, yeah, so these two boys specifically, the one boy that I was just thinking of, he actually stomped on my feet when I was probably first grade, I'm going to say, because they really didn't, I don't know what it was, if it was because I had really long hair at that time, if it was like the personality that they didn't like, if it was just me in general, because I'm eccentric, I'm quiet, but if you get to know me, I can really just talk up a storm.
Are you introverted?
I'm an introvert, yeah.
Huh. Because basically, usually people, for me, I think that people pick on us all the time because we're like so different, and I can relate. I don't fit in high school or any. I feel like I'm a reject, and I feel like I don't fit in any group. Like when I was a kid, I don't want to be normal. Like I think normal is like overrated for me when I was back in high school.
Yes, yes, absolutely. A lot of times being an introvert, a lot of people don't really know how, especially if you're an extrovert, they don't really know how to properly engage with somebody. They just think that you're kind of, and it really depends on the type of personality you are. I did a personality quiz recently, and I came up with, which I don't remember if it was INTJ. It was whatever the most rarest personality that's out there. That was me. So I'm like, well, that probably explains it. So everything to right down to it that you're an outcast, that people don't understand you, you feel misunderstood, you just don't feel like you belong in this world. I'm like, yes, 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 all that, yes.
Holy.
That's probably one of the reasons why I'm a writer, because I find I can communicate what I want to in my writing, and there's not that person back there that's like, oh, no, you can't do this, you can't write that, or no, you're doing this wrong. It's like, no, I call shots now.
Huh. Interesting. Like, what is your writing process that help you keep going to write like your creative adventure?
That is a very interesting question to ask, because my writing style has changed quite a bit within, I would say, probably the last year or so. I am a plantster, so with that, for people who don't know what that means, I am a person who will outline something, but then when I write the story, I actually just kind of go by the seat of my pants, where just where plantster comes from. It's usually called pantser, where you don't use any outline at all, and you just slice. And that's what I do with my main character in the Rite of Wands, McKinnon. He is, I actually wrote the character for actor Matt Smith, and so Mirta does act really on his own. I will have an idea of what I want him to do in the chapter, but I let him tell me what's going to actually happen, because and sometimes I don't even know where the story's going, and they'll do something completely not unexpected. I'm like, oh, interesting. Now what am I going to do? I got this book. This is the example that happened in the very first book. He's trying to find a book that his father had put in the cellar, and he's trying to find this something that will help him be able to defeat the Shrek. And while he's looking, he finds this book, but he can't read it. So that was one of the challenges. I'm like, oh, I got a book, I got a magic book, and I can't read it. Oh, great! Now what are we going to do? It's a challenging sometimes.
Oh, that sounds
and
fun.
Fun too.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I feel like you really have fun with your imagination. I feel like you let your imagination let wild. Like it's. Do you see in pictures?
Yes.
Huh. Interesting. Like,
Yeah.
how do you, because I think when I, talk or when I do videos, I think in pictures, and it's like, it's sometimes it's hard to translate it in words because it's like moving. And how do you take that pictures and translate it into your written word or books?
Yeah, it sometimes it can be really challenging in that. For me, my characters, I envision them like they're in a TV series or a movie where they're in front of a green screen. So I have to they act for me, and then I just write whatever it is that I'm seeing. And a lot of times I will write things in a vivid way so that people or my readers in the case will be able to read what I'm writing and they can picture it too. So sometimes I'll keep it a little bit open so that they can imagine their own thing because a lot of times some things you don't want to really tell your reader. You want to, it's more showing them what this environment might look like or what they might be wearing so that they still have their freedom to be able to create their own idea of what a character or environment should look like.
Hmm. When it comes to is this your first book?
Yes, The Rite of Wands was my very first book. Since then, I wrote a short story that was in an anthology called The Whispering Tales of, or I should say, The Whisper Tales of Graves Grove. And since then, I've just, within the past 3 weeks, turned in the manuscript for The Rite of Abdication, which is the second book of the Rite of Wands series. It's the five-book series. It's on its traditional contract with DHE Press, so it's very exciting to be able to continue to go back in and dive in that world and live there, essentially in my head.
Do you self-publish or you let a publisher help you publish it?
Yeah, no, I'm not into self-publishing at all. I have found that there is just too many restrictions and barriers, especially if you're looking for a specific audience. Or in my case, the Rite of Wands is targeted for those who are readers that like Harry Potter and especially Doctor Who. I have found that a lot of Matt Smith fans specifically do follow the series because they are aware that the main character was written for Matt, and Matt himself even knows it too, as well as his mom. So it's really cool to have that audience there to be there in the course of the journey of everything.
Hmm. Why did you decided to I don't know who was a Doctor Who, but I do know Harry Potter. Why did you choose to target Harry Potter fans? Because I am a
Well, that
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
for Harry Potter specifically, well, that was originally my target audience. I thought that they would be the kind of like the no-brainer group, those who grew up with Harry Potter, with the Rite of Wands. Of course, it has wands and witches and wizards in there, so I thought that that would be a really good target audience. But I have actually found out that the sci-fi fans are actually more into my books than particularly those who are Harry Potter fans because of the whole idea of going back to what we were discussing earlier about faith and how things are not necessarily set in stone.
Right.
And that's one of the things that actually the Doctor Show does talk about with time travel. It's about things are fixed points or that things might not be set in stone, and so the Doctor is able to interact and maybe save the day.
Huh. You put time travel. Interesting. For me, I don't want to create like a self-help book. I wanted to expand. I used to create a story, but it wasn't a. It's not published, but it's just for me. When I was depressed and I was going inward, that's when what back in 2011 I broke up with my ex and I quit my job at a restaurant back in 2012. So I start going inward. I start drawing and trying to create stories. I and I wanted to create a manga or a Japanese comic actually.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, and that's how it. But you said time travel because I always put time travel as for me. I put it myself as a character where I time travel through the present, and try to save the future. But
Mm.
Yeah, it's always because I'm fascinated by sci-fi, of course, but now I'm more fascinated about life because I think that life can be so much more, and it's not written in stone, as you say.
Oh, absolutely, Gary. And going back to your question also about the publisher, sorry, I ended up going in a completely, my brain went in one
It's okay. It's
different
okay.
direction.
It's okay. It's okay. I enjoy your presence. I enjoy your presence. So it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, my publisher is actually PhD Press, and they're an alternate hybrid. So there's different types of programs that they offer. I'm in a traditional contract with them, so I have, if I'm remembering this correctly, I have 7 years with them that I'm contracted to write 5 books, and they're not necessarily all the Rite of Wands. I'm actually, my next book that I'll be diving into is going to be a paranormal, a YA paranormal that is going to be perfect for fans of Dead Files, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, which now I believe that their new show is going to be called Ghost Nation, if I'm remembering that correctly. I had just read Jason Haas had announced it just a couple of days ago on Travel Channel this fall, so that will be my next project. Will be writing some paranormal. I'm also writing a book. It's a self, basically a personal growth book, which I has to do with overcoming barriers, specifically in mental illness. We're talking about labels and how people get labeled, and they essentially, some people let that label identify who they are, and it hinders their potential of being who they actually are supposed to be. And they not necessarily know what they're supposed to do because of whatever they barrier or label that might be, such as in my case was, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not going to get anywhere in life, I'm a failure, I'm a burden. That was a label I really, really followed me through majority of my life, being that I honestly believed that through even the Catholic school. I can still remember to this day of how traumatic that place was. And I know I've had conversations with my family, and my mother is very regretful that she ever sent me there. And I said to her, Mom, don't be regretful about it. Whatever I experienced there, yes, it was awful. It was terrible. But those don't necessarily made me who I am. So I was supposed to experience those things. I'm going to be able to help people now doing that. So I became, that helped me become very empathetic about other people's situations and problems, and they're like, hey, I've been there myself. I can help you because I've been there.
What is a book proposal?
So the book proposal is your way of letting your publisher know what your goal is. So it will identify what your premise is, what your target audience is, what your affinity groups are. That would be like who people you're going to be marketing to. It will have the outline of your book, so you have your chapters all written out with a summary. You'll have identified what the length of your book is, when you expect it to be finished, how much the book has been actually written. So it's like all of these. It's one of the things that traditional publishers really look for, and some of them will include like an introduction, the first chapter, so that way you can get an editorial review when you're doing your querying. That's one of the ways to do that, versus to look and see, oh, okay, this is what this person's going to do, this is how they've done it, and this is where they're going. So
Well, thank you so much for that, sharing for that with us. That's very unique. I had never asked before. Thank you. But for
you're welcome.
but the thing is, I'm very. You see, now I'm getting curious about. Are you into those supernatural show or supernatural ghosts or astral projection or any psychic?
Funny thing is, I really have not gotten that much into supernatural. I've seen a couple episodes of it, but I haven't actually just sat down and like gone through it on Netflix and just gone through a whole. I went through part of the first season, so I know about like Pascal and Dean and Sam. I know about them and their storylines, but I haven't actually totally watched a lot of people. When it comes to writing sermon, I'll be honest, I don't normally watch what I write because I don't really want to have the influence of other writers. Even
Huh.
though if you ask the majority of people, then most places will say that you are supposed to read what you write, but I'm completely the opposite of that. I tend to not do that. I tend to read a lot of mystery, so it's definitely not what I write.
Interesting, very interesting. Because most oftentimes, like most Japanese, most people are influenced by other, people, authors. Very interesting. You're a very interesting person. Do you,
So thank you.
You're welcome. I was thinking about time travel. Why time travel? If you would, where would you time travel? Do you believe in parallel? What was it? Parallel dimensions.
Yes, and actually there is a paradox in the Rite of Wands, which is one of the things, one of my challenges that I will be dealing with in book 3, which is called the Rite of Berlin. What happens in the very first book of Rite of Wands, and it happens during Mirta's Rite of Wands ceremony. He sees a version of himself where he has to defeat what's called the Shreya, and it basically is the Black Plague of what happened in Ireland. And at the time I was writing, I'll be honest, I had no idea I was writing about the Black Plague because I had multiple symptoms going on, and then I actually did more research on the Black Plague because I've been always curious about it. So probably when it came to time travel, I would probably go to Ireland during the time, or even England during the time of the Black Plague, and because we really never dealt with it over in the States, so I probably would hope that I don't catch it, or if I do catch it, that I would have been able to survive it, just to have the whole entire experience of what it would have been like back then to live, especially during a time, like a lot of people think that I'm very scientific because Mirta's very scientific, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I just pretend that I am, so I look like I'm very knowledgeable when it comes to that.
But you are knowledgeable though. Like it's for me when I listen when you speak, I am attracted by uh your imagination, your curiosity. Like it's hard to. The average person isn't curious about their life, and when we talk about the there's a level of awareness, right? For people who
Yes.
are going after their dream, there's a certain level of awareness that they have. Um, the, for me, I believe that we live in this universe that our thoughts can create our reality because it's true. Um, well, for me, I can go by an experience, but I study a whole lot of. I try to go to religions and science, science, and uh, I read alchemy because J.K. Rowling is big on alchemy. Wait, did you put your story on alchemy, or how is it?
Well, I do have some influence from alchemy, yes, I would say so. There's not really a lot of that in Rite of Wands, so when I was creating kind of the atmosphere, I was thinking in the back of my head, I was thinking a little bit of a Full Metal Brotherhood. I
Oh,
do
you
love,
know that?
I do love anime, and I also love the Japanese culture and
Holy shit.
just the whole entire storyline of that series.
Oh, I'm sorry. I kind of cursed there because I did not know that you were into Full Metal Alchemist. Holy shit.
Yes, I'm very much into Full Metal Alchemist. Oh my gosh! When I was in college, we had to do some type of graphic, and before the Japanese version was coming, had even come to the States, and I had done a bootleg version of it.
Wow.
So I was watching, studying the series, and then I ended up getting the mangas. I ended up having to go right to Borders and Barnes and Noble to get all the mangas so that I could read the series right from the start and follow it from the Japanese actors that would put together the Full Metal Alchemist. And I have one of the soundtrack where it has the actual actors singing as the characters, which I found that Ed specifically, I find it very is such a very intriguing character, and I find in a way that he has a little bit of a similarity to Mirta because, he has this burden where he made a mistake and now it costs his brother to be stuck in this coat of armor. And Mirta also has issues where he knows that if he does not defeat the Shreya, he is going to end up, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to die. And the thing about him, Mirta is not a perfect character, and a lot of fans have told me that they love his character because of how he has multiple, I would say, levels of him, because he's not just kind of black and white. He can kind of go all over the place, and he will do things that might completely surprise you, such as his father's servant. He ends up essentially torturing because he's angry that he overheard a conversation, and fans are like, why the heck did he do that? Why would he do that? Like, no, there was a reason for it, and you're going to find out why. So I ended up telling a little bit about why he actually did it in the Rite of Vaccination, which is the second book. So there is just that burden that the characters have to go through in order to really become the personality growth and really personality characteristics of the growth of the character as you watch as they go through that hero's journey, whereas Pat is trying to find the elixir, or that's not what they called it. I can't think of the name of it.
The the Philosopher's Stone.
Yes, that.
So it's yes. Well, I mean, I think. Wow, I did not. Wow. Okay, I felt like you were more well versed than I am. What? How are you like into anime? Like, how big are you into anime?
Oh gosh, I'm very big into anime. I have to catch up with the Japanese anime. I went through a period of time where I was very, very into Japanese anime, and that was really the only thing that I would follow. It was the first thing I got into, and then I got into Berserk, and that is really, I do Berserk. I will admit I'm a Griffith fan of the whole way, and when I was designing the Rite of Wands, I said I want to have a character that is just as strong as Griffith, and that was that for me that became Mirta.
Holy crap! I mean, it's still surprising. Holy. Oh, okay. That works. That works. Yeah, cause I love anime. I think like I think that for me, I think that adults think that anime are really bad and they really have bad influence, but I don't really think so. For me, I I love anime because it helped me. Like for me, Dragon Ball Z was the really big thing. You probably heard of it.
Yeah.
They have Bleach and Naruto, but also Power, yeah, and Power Rangers and Kamen Riders and all those things. I think that see the thing is the way that American was built was an idea to have like to come together, but what happened is it become like a thing where we conform to these um ridiculous notion that we should live this way because someone told us.
Exactly. Yes.
But thank you so much for writing for. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Well, if you if you ever write your book for self help, please let me know. Okay, please let me know.
Oh, absolutely.
Gosh. So, what does success look like to you?
So that would be kind of, that's a tough question because most people would think that success is that, you're well known, you're somebody like J.K. Rowling or J.R. Tolkien. And I definitely, that is one of my goals, is to see the Rite of Wands become a TV series. There happens to be somebody that's with me. I want to have either HBO or BBC to personally handle the series, or Netflix, so that there might be somebody who will see. That is who I'm hoping that will end up putting the series together on the screen for me, with Matt Smith playing the main role of Mirta McKinnon. And so for success, definitely for me, I would say success is being able to be who you are and what you're meant to be able to live to your full potential in your own personality growth. So for me, it really is being able to write and do what I love and be able to put together and share my thoughts and my worlds with everybody and not have those barriers that you have in the corporate environment that things have to be a certain way or you have to think a certain way. Just having that openness. So that for me, that would be my definition of success versus necessarily the faith and solution because I love to have that, but it's not something I ever really was. That was never my goal. It's really the Rite of Wands here. It kind of took off on its own because I connected really the whole entire story of how it became public. That's really what that becomes quite fascinating and magical, you could say, or faith, even the question of faith. Things were meant to happen the way they were supposed to be, and it's really a fascinating journey.
I wonder if you didn't. Wow, I'm trying to figure out. I feel like what you try to convey is very powerful. I think that oftentimes society, or sometimes teachers or parents or peers, they try to push a message that you should not be yourself because if you're yourself, people. For me, if I wasn't myself, I don't know any other way. I always been like this because I think that to truly live authentically we should express who we are. That's why I think that Bruce Lee always try to express who he is as a person through art. And wait, do you draw?
I do, though. I will admit I'm not that great of a drawer, but I do. I do doodle. I don't really draw people too well. I more draw objects.
Interesting.
And speaking of that I do a lot more of Photoshop, photo manipulation, and that actually can kind of bring into how the book got published. How I found my publisher, they actually can go in that perfect direction because originally when I wrote the Rite of Wands, and it was in the process of being, I was in talk with possibly, I was thinking about maybe self-publishing it, and I had gone to Wizard World, and I ended up, originally, I wanted to have a replica of the wand that Mirta has, just kind of as my own thing to have, something cool, something, or, this is my very first series, something that I could carry around with me just for the fun of it. The two people that crafted the wand, they actually worked on crafting along the Harry Potter movies. So I ended up drawing through Photoshop the idea of what I wanted my wand to look like. I didn't want it just to be an ordinary wand. I wanted it to be Gavin Ebony, which is one that is extremely hard to find and very expensive type of wood. And that it had a bloodstone crystal at the very top of the shaft of the wand. So I wanted everything to have, they have that mythology type of crystals, but they have this, each one has a strength that goes with the witch or wizard. And so I drew this picture and I gave it to Magical Alley. And I said, hey, can you craft something like this? They're like, yeah, we can craft this. So they did, and right at the time when it was being sent to me, actually, and this is where everything kind of just goes into this whole two forms type of thing, is Matt Smith was going to be at Wizard World in Cleveland, and that's where originally I'm from. I lived in Michigan, but I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, so I still have that very tie to the Cleveland area. And Wizard World is a convention where they'll bring actors from different shows, and Matt was there, and they were sending me the wand right around the same time that he was going to be there. I'm like, oh gosh, should I bring this to him? Yes, I'm going to try it anyway, because Wizard World at the time, they don't really like when you bring something for an actor that has absolutely nothing to do with them. So I'm like, I'm going to try this anyway, and so I brought the wand to them, and I ended up at a different Wizard World, met one of the authors that represented my publisher. She ended up telling my publisher, hey, I ran into this girl. She's got this blonde. She's this main character from that this, from Doctor Who. It really sounds like a really cool idea. So they told her that to, hey, if she's interested, let us take a look at her manuscript. And so I ended up querying them, sent them a copy of my book, and they're like, we've never had anybody before do something like this, especially having a wand like this. So I ended up taking the wand to Wizard World, and I planted it literally in front of Matt's face, and he was just, oh, wow. Like, he was completely, like, tongue-tied, and he was trying to look around, looking very carefully at the wand, trying to figure out where the heck am I going to find it. So I thought, oh gosh, here's his wand. Matt Smith's the main, wrote the main character. Well, how cool would it be to have his signature on the wand? It'd be like kind of like saying I'm taking a piece of him with me. So he ended up trying it, and then I ended up getting out of line at one point, and he picked up the wand and he started playing around with me. He smiled at me, he goes, shush. And it was like, oh my gosh, that is Mirta. At that point, it was like this. When it comes to energy, it was like I felt his energy just kind of come to me and regenerate me. If you could say, leave that imprint, that magical imprint, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but it's really dang powerful.
Wow. Oh, I enjoy that. That's really incredible. It seemed like you really do have fun. See, that's my message. I think that as we grow older, society or whatever they condition us not to have fun. We're like so tense. You know.
Yes,
And
absolutely. And that for me, that was my way of saying, "Oh, this is fake. This is absolute fake." And the way I'm talking about him, you would think that I was always a fan of him, but Dr. Who fans are shocked whenever I tell the story. And I think, no, I was not a fan of him, and I wasn't a fan of Dr. 11 either. I was not a fan of either of them before I actually met him. It was just kind of a fluke thing. I had Chicago. Myself got injured and had to have replaced shoulder surgery. And they were kind of down about it, saying that they're funny, they're off of work. So I think I was on Facebook, and then I saw that Wizard World was going to be in Chicago, which is about 4 hours from here. And so I go, hey, do you want to go meet a doctor? Because we were both really into Doctor Who. And I thought that would be a great way to cheer them up and here to get that bucket list. Because this was like before things became really big with the conventions where the Doctor Who actors would be there. It seems more common now, but back then it wasn't very common at all. So I was like, oh, this is probably the only time I'll ever meet him. And this was before Rite of Wands was even finished, because I was dealing with a huge problem where Mirta did not exist in the original book of the Rite of Wands. In fact, he was kind of like a background character where people would be for him. And I didn't have a voice for him. I didn't have a face. I didn't even have a name for him. I was calling him Gerard, actually. And then when I met Matt originally, I'm like, he's really cool. And it was really neat to say, hey, I finally got to meet a doctor. And it was a couple months after that first encounter where I was working on the Rite of Wands, I actually ready to give up on the whole thing and just throw it out the window, because I was just so angry with myself that I could not figure out. You can say I kind of had writer's block to the extreme. I just didn't know what to do with the book. And suddenly, in my mind, because I could see, as we have talked about with the characters, I saw Mirta walking out of this back alley, and he had Matt Smith's face, and he had this scar on his face. And he said something to me that I'm totally, it's one of those things I don't tell people what it is, because it's one of those things I want Matt to actually say what it was that he said to me in my head, and that is when the character first evolved. Came to be fully, my name's Mirta, and I figured his name's Mirta, and he was an apothecary. So, and I had his whole entire background, fully created personality, all of that. He was usually very rare for a character to do that. And then ended up the Rite of Wands, just now he's the main character, so literally the series revolves around him completely. I write something that he doesn't like, don't tell me. Don't make sure to tell me.
Wow. I feel like you have this. You do you write down your goals, or do you? How do you? If it seemed like you manifest your dream, like do you,
I do find that I manifest. I don't know if it's because if I'm an empath and I just know things that I'm supposed to be in certain places or certain things are supposed to happen. I don't really know that people find that really odd about me because they'll be like, they will mention something. I'm like, yeah, I already know about, but I didn't say that. Trust me, I know.
do you listen to your intuition?
I do. A lot of times I do. It is sometimes it's very difficult for me to do that because I'll disagree with myself about something like what happened with the banking leadership position. My intuition told me that things were going to go downhill and they were going to go down fast and that it would just kind of come out of nowhere. And I was completely, while I was prepared for that, I wanted to believe differently for this leadership team is that they weren't like everybody else where they're just going to, instead of having a mentor, because I had one of the leadership people were actually, you could say, was mentoring me, but it turned out that instead of them just letting me go, I realized that the leadership team, yeah, I was not meant to be a leader there because they failed me. Completely failed me. It wasn't that I failed or that I wasn't supposed to be there. It was a case of they failed me and they had to do it in a way that would be hurtful, in a way that I would actually get off my butt and realize I was supposed to just write. And so in that case, I can kind of thank them for that, even though I still am not happy about the situation. I feel if I could change things, I still would be a leader there because I know I would have been able to make a difference. I actually just heard from somebody that works there said that her team specifically that, and I worked with their team briefly, that she said that she felt that out of all the leaders that I've worked with, that I understood their team the best and was actually helping them, and that she said that their team was absolutely devastated because of what happened. And that kind of really moved me because I didn't really feel very valued when that whole entire situation went down. And hearing that, I was like, wow, I really still have that rapport still with my coworkers, even though with leadership, it kind of was non-existent. And it probably was non-existent from the get-go because there were a lot of things that went down that were signs really that I should have gotten out of there a lot sooner than I did. And it just, I didn't trust my gut feeling. I just didn't. I was looking for it as a place where I could get a solid ground of money. And I've always struggled with money, and I wanted to actually be somebody I felt like I was important, that I was valued, that there was a reason that I was supposed to be here. And I am supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be a writer. That's me. I'm not a leader. I'm a writer.
Well, thank you so much for like. I mean, I think in a way, when you're speaking, see, I'm a different type of interviewer. I'm a very, I'm interested in the world, but you are leading, whether an author or a writer, if they're beginning to write, you are leading someone to somewhere, and
Yeah.
that's why I interview people. But you are important. That's why I love it when you say these things because it is the absolute truth. I believe
Oh,
that
yeah.
I believe that people don't see it, but there are people who don't like people who do things a certain way, and that's oftentimes us. They don't like it, but you know, but yeah, I'm grateful that that you're a writer, and then you know, you know. But what if you have any? Do you have any fears and how you overcome it?
Oh, gosh, yes. I've had lots and lots of fears, and the main thing was to fail. It was definitely that I would be what all these labels were, that I was just going to be a nobody, and nobody would, and I was just one of those people that I was born, and I'll die, and nobody will know anything about me, and there's nothing to remember me by, that I'm just somebody that is writing my life, and it's a someone would spend like a penny to buy my book, all about me. I really did. I had a very poor attitude when it came to because of probably because of the way that I was really raised with that belief that I was going to be a nobody, and it really took a lot to overcome that, to know, yeah, you are somebody, you're supposed to be here, as the doctor said, and all the years that he's ever, or in this case I have to say she, because he now is she, and then all the years of being a doctor, I never come across a person that wasn't important. So that definitely was something that was very relevant to hearing that. Or in the Events in the Doctor episode, which is one of my very favorites from that era, is because I feel like I really can feel what Vincent Van Gogh was feeling back then. And actually, I've gotten some books since then to read about more about him, because I've always found him to be very intriguing as an artist. And then finding out about all the barriers and trauma that he dealt with while he was growing up. And he even as a struggling artist, he wasn't one of those people that was always happy all the time either. And it was nice to see that impact that he really did to bring onto people. And it is the quote that the doctor says is that, life is a group of good things and bad necessarily. The bad things doesn't necessarily invalidate the good things.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
So it really comes down to by a fate, is that something terrible can happen. Where, let's say, you have a relationship with somebody, you really think that person is the one, and for whatever reason you end up breaking up. You still love that person, you love them tremendously, they are your world. But that other person doesn't feel the same way. They have a different goal. They end up going on their own separate ways to find their happiness. But you, in this case, you don't move on. You stay stuck. You become obsessed. You start obsessing over them. You watch them on social media. You start writing them obsessively, and you end up writing them letters, writing emails, begging them to, come back to you, even if it's been years. We're talking decades here, but you're still stuck in that stuff. And really, all it is detach that cord and realize that person was supposed to come to your life for a reason. But you weren't supposed to be with them as lovers. They were there to teach you, to motivate you that it's time now. It's time to become who you are. It's supposed to be a teacher or whatever it is. So that's where it's saying that it's not necessarily when bad things happen, it doesn't necessarily mean that, things are over. It just means that your path might have a twist.
Well, what you say is very oddly makes sense, and it's true. Every time when bad things happen, it always go towards where I needed to be, or where I needed to go on my path, whatever that may be. And I seen it. You are right. It's weird, but it's like, I mean, I feel like the universe. I don't know if you read the book The Alchemist, but I feel like the universe, like it's singing to our most dearest beloved heart, our desire. I felt like, and if you keep moving toward that desire, or whatever your heart desire is, you begin to see that it can come true, and things happen for you, and that's wow. Okay, wow. Yeah, you are right. The good of the bad event, that necessarily it mean bad, but it actually can be good. It have to be reframing though. And when it comes to what was I was getting to, um, what do you like to leave your message for your readers?
My message is you can do whatever you want to do. It's one of those, it's kind of like the Back to the Future. You can put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. the message that I would want to send out to my readers is don't give up. You are meant to be here. You're important. You're not alone. If you need help, there is help available. There are resources. There are people out there. People do care, even if you may be in a situation where you feel lost and that there is nothing that you can hang on to. Yes, there is a way to get out of whatever the situation is. That there is a way, and you're important. Never give up. Never give up on your dream.
How come? Why do you have this such powerful message? Why do you care for human beings? That's what I'm curious about.
Probably because I did not get that. I got the opposite, where nobody cared about me. It was just me, always me, and I really had to look at things from a different perspective. That it wasn't that people didn't care. It was the cases that I didn't have the resources available. I couldn't find the resources. I didn't have anybody to talk to. And that's some of the stuff that I will be talking about in this book that I'm working on with Terry Overbutter. I will be sharing some of the stories that I had, such as an example of when I first went into college and I had to write a paper about what the challenges were. So I wrote about that school that I mentioned about where I was mentally and physically abused, and who was supposed to be my mentor for college wrote on the paper everything he experienced at that school, including the abuse, was your fault. That's what on that paper today that says that. And I'm like, oh, people really don't care. Really don't care. And it's not that. The narcissist, it's kind of like the case of, I believe what my problem is that being an empath, I attract a lot of narcissistic personalities, and those are the type of personalities that will put you down. They will do anything because they're not happy in life. They will do anything what they have to do to make sure that you suffer along with them, and you have to find that you got to pity those people. Like hey, really things are not that bad. You just have to look at it in a different perspective.
What is narcissist? I feel like I was like, I hope I'm not narcissist. I hope I'm not.
No, not at all. A narcissist is somebody who they are kind of the naysayer, whereas that person is they're ugly or they're not going to get anywhere. That person's not for them. They're very negative. They're the type of personality where they are very controlling. They are hurting for some reason. It could be a personal reason. It could be something in the background, and they will, you could say, manifest it on anybody that they come in contact with. So they will make it all whatever the situation is. Say you announce something saying, "Oh yeah, I just got no contact," blah 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 blah. Well, they will twist that and make it completely all about them. So they'll say like, "Oh, well, you don't care about me because you got this contract." And it's just things are very twisted, very controlling, where it has to be all about them at all times, and they have to make sure that everybody else around them is hurting because they love to hear to put like pain on people because they're hurting. So it's that phrase you'll hear: hurt people, and that's what it happens instead of healing. In the end, it's just hurting other people, and it just kind of keeps going on and on and on in the circle, unending circle, until you get that person that's like, no, I'm not going to stand for that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really powerful.
You're welcome.
Where can we find you online?
So you can find me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I have a website, MackenzieFlohr.com. I'll spell it because a lot of times people misspell my last name. So Mackenzieflohr. Please don't mop the floor.
Wow. Wow.
I'm pretty much Mackenzie Flohr everywhere. I keep it very much the same way, so it's very easy to find.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time, and I do appreciate what you talk about leadership and how that it's really hard for me to come to people where they don't really understand where like this world is really like chained by the control and conformity, and it's really cool to have someone to relate to. It's not always easy to not have someone to relate to you, and I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, you're very, very welcome.
And thank you so much for today, and I hope that we will see you soon in the future.